Okay, I have here today Valheim Frost Cave Weapon Tier List. Yeah, got that Final Fantasy IX Ice Cave OST in the background. I thought it was appropriate. So, what I'm going to ignore here is all this black metal plains tier stuff. Obviously, some of that stuff is going to outclass the mountain and iron tier things that you are meant to go into the caves with. So I will not be mentioning those. And I will not be mentioning the bronze meadows tier, what have you. It will just be some of the iron and the silver tier stuff. Nothing that would just be utterly outclassed, so I'm not gonna throw in the iron sword because you could just make the silver sword and that's better. I'm not gonna put in the abyssal harp or the abyssal razor because you can just make the silver knife and that's better. Okay. That being said, we'll start from the bottom up, I suppose. Iron Axe. Just no, you know? It's like, it's slow. Slower than other one-handed weapons. And for a little extra damage, which will get you what, exactly? Nothing. I don't recommend using one-handed axes as a weapon unless you are becoming an axe man. Like you're an axe-only user. At which point, you probably want to switch out to the battle axe as soon as you got to the Iron Age anyway. So, this Iron Axe is completely useless. Yeah. Next up, we have the... Let's get this ancient bark spear out of here. We have the Fang Spear. This is pretty good. It's got decent enough damage as a spear main for you to just start one-shotting wolves, right? But it's faster than the axe. It's got the ranged option. Of course, you struggle against bats, but who cares? Clearly not meant for that. And the ranged toss, you know, it does not bad versus cultists, but the cultists can kind of just double, triple up and space you out with fire, at which point other weapons just outclass it, because they could just go in and get the job done. So, put this in C tier. Next up, we'll do the Iron Mace. Iron Mace, I mean, this is a solid weapon. Put that in B tier. If you have a frozen lake room, like a golem room, you kinda need the Iron Mace for that. So it's just a necessary weapon. It will one-shot wolves. The Frostner does outclass it for like wolves, cultists. However, you need the Iron Mace for the golems that you might potentially run into. Because of that, it goes in B tier. A Silver Knife. Silver Knife, if you are a knife user, gets the job done. It does indeed get the job done. And of course, Silver Knife, you pair that with a Silver Shield. You can parry the cultists. You can go middle mouse in a tight corridor and really easily hit and stagger them, at which point you can follow up, kill them no problem. You have proactivity, you get reactivity, it's just a solid caves tier weapon. You stagger an Ulv in one hit at very low knife levels. So it's an Ulv Demolisher with its low stamina cost. It's just nice in the caves. However, the Silver Sword is just a little better than that. Silver Sword, well, you got that big damage. Big. damage. Like, I'm talking like good sword user is going to just 1-2 occultist. Because all that spirit damage. You're gonna one-shot ulves. You got the right knockback for combos on them cultists. You could do a middle mouse charge, one-shot occultist. It's silly. Like, this weapon is really good, especially if you're going in multiplayer. You're gonna be racking up the DPS when other people, when you need it. It's nice. It's just the best standard, like, smack them till they die weapon for the caves. I would actually, yeah, I'd move that up to A tier because of that. And the Frostner goes in B tier, and that is because the Frostner has 2 high knockback. So, instead of just finishing your combos, like the Silver Sword, the Frostner, you just bonk, and then you run up, and you bonk again. And because you have such limited space, it's all limited space. You can't take advantage of the slowdown to, like, maneuver around, get your true combos. No, the enemies, the cultists just, like, fly into the corner and then they launch their attacks again. At which point, it's just better to use Silver Sword. Or Iron Mace, even. But, yeah, there are other weapons, indeed, which totally get the job done better than the Frostner. It's, you know, it's sort of like a nesting doll. It's like, oh, the Frost, like, Fang Spear is outclassed by the Frostner, which is outclassed by, or it's like, yeah, the Iron Axe outclassed by the Fang Spear is outclassed by the Frostner is outclassed by the Silver Sword is outclassed by things to come. Let's talk about something that would be super interesting. These bows are only in A tier. And that is because the enemies don't really aggro too much, and they're in a tight corridor. So if everything's tight and there's a bunch of barriers, which you can't really snipe dudes through, the bow is only going to have use sniping like a stray ulv or a stray cultist every once in like 10 caves. But yeah, you can snipe a bunch of ulvs, and it's good to get the ulvs sniped in advance. You can even snipe them under red jute carpets. And the other wolves, if they're like lying down, they'll like notice you, but they won't get up. So you can still one-shot them. You won't get the sneak bonus, but you'll one-shot them still. And if you don't, I mean, it's just you shoot them with the Draugr Fang. If you don't kill them with a wood arrow just outright, the poison will kill them. So it's always a one-shot. Like, always. But because of the tight corridors, they are not the best weapon in the caves. They're not. I would not put them in S tier. I would say most of the time, like, almost all the time, the melee is a better option. S tier. Finally, we're down to our final 3. And if you've been watching my series on Frost Caves, you know what's coming. Crystal Battle Axe. Oh, man. Crystal Battle Axe is so good. It's so good in the Frost Caves. That middle mouse poke. I think I had axes levels like 30-something, like 33. I was poking guys like wolves, staggered, and then follow-up poke. They killed. Only cost 9 stamina per poke. Insane amount of control. Kills them no problem. Really good solo multiplayer. Multiplayer, you could even take advantage of the triple slow swing. Of course, you can also, because of tight corridors, poke, and then immediately follow up with the triple slow swing on the cultist. You probably won't even get to the 3rd swing; they'll die beforehand. You could also just poke spam the cultists to death, and they'll just burn from all the spirit and just be helpless, smacked against the pillar. Crystal Battle Axe, very good. That has that fast poke. That's just, it's huge. So much control. Iron Sledge. Oh man, Iron Sledge. It's so ridiculously good. It is so good. And there's gonna be moments where you could be surrounded. Like you could, I saw Thread Menace uploaded the clip where he was doing a speedrun involving the mountain caves and he was running through and he got a room with like 3 or 4 little Ulv sections, which had like 5 or 6 Ulvs each. And he got jumped, surrounded by like 15 Ulvs. And just got decimated. Run was dead, like he died. It's like, yeah, that'll do it. But if you're prepped, you bring the Iron Sledge in there, you just slam them all. You know, Iron Sledge goes up to 73 damage ceiling at quality 4. Ulvs only have 50 HP. More often than not, you're going to just one-shot them. Iron Sledge is also really good at smacking down all of the Fenris hair and red jute. It's really good at smacking like cultists and things through the gates, although you have to be careful because they can shoot fire through the gates and hit you anyway. So you gotta be careful with that, but it's really good. You can smack them around corners and walls. It's just excellent versus bats. It's good multiplayer if you have a multiple golem room. It's incredible in dungeons in general, and these Frost Caves is no exception. Top. You knew it was coming. You knew it was here. This was going to happen. If you've been watching my Frost Caves videos at all, the Iron Atgear, top of the line. I can understand why they don't make a Mountains tier Atgear. However, I still want it. I still want it because they said, oh, there's a reason why we didn't have like the weapons that we didn't fill in for like Mountains tier, and then they went and made the silver knife for Hearth and Home. And it's like, oh, okay, well, we might as well make a Mountain Atgear. And the Mountain Atgear would be S tier, and this would be off the list, outclassed, but man, the Iron Atgear kicks some serious ass. Serious ass. Middle mouse. Insta-kill, bunch of Ulvs. Poke, Ulvs, tight corridors, poke, from a distance. A little bit slower than the Crystal of Battle Axe, but longer range. More damage with the pokes. Completely safe. Extremely good multiplayer. Middle mouse just staggers bunch of cultists at the same time. It'll save your life. It'll make your life easy. Poke down some red jute. Poke down some Fenris hair. Middle mouse poke some some standing braziers to instantly destroy them at decent Atgear levels. Absolutely demolishes Ulfs, cultists. It's fast enough to get bats, or if like there's a single bat coming at you. Doesn't do well for the golems, but the golems are rare. And everything else is pretty regular. And the Iron Atgear makes the biggest threats, generally, in these caves, a pushover. An absolute pushover. No matter how many of them they pile on you, no problem. You could be close to death, and the spin to win will save you. Just an amazing weapon. Highly recommend you make Atgear, Iron Sledge. Kicks royal ass. Royal cultist ass. And that's the tier list. Hope you enjoyed. I'll see you guys some other time.